It's easy for parents to be underestimated. But when our rights are threatened, we will show up.
This is where it happened. This is where 8,000 people showed up for their children.
The opposition knew they were engaged in a different fight once AFP got involved.
Welcome to the American Potential Podcast, a feature of Americans for Prosperity. I'm your host, David Fromm. Seems like once a decade or something, a real threat to homeschooling comes up in Illinois. This one was a little different. This was more invasive, and it was done with the leadership of the Education Committee saying, we want you to register and have potential criminal penalties if you're not doing it the way we want, and we want to be able to track you.
Illinois has been one of the most free states in the nation for homeschool and for education freedom. Illinois House Bill 2827 would have essentially reversed that and made it one of the worst in the nation.
Well, Christy, Matt, Black, it's so great to have you guys here. I'm so thrilled for you to join us, and thanks for all you've been doing in this fight.
Thank you, David, for having us. Yes, so initially, some people were just wondering what was the big deal. What is the harm of having homeschoolers turn in a portfolio? But once we started helping families read the legislation, they were just bewildered.
Here's the kicker. If you didn't register, you could end up facing a fine or even jail time. Jail for not filing one more government form.
AFP obviously works to try and identify the barriers that stand in people's way of achieving their version of the American dream, and this was a barrier to educational freedom. So we saw an opportunity here to mobilize a grassroots army so large that it couldn't be ignored.
I definitely did not intend to homeschool my own children. I was planning to teach in public schools since I was like 7 years old, and I knew I wanted to do that. That was my life goal and passion. I wanted to be that little old lady who's like, I've been teaching here for the last 80 years or something. But just in my time there, I saw that there were so many kids who just needed something different.
My name is Ashton Bandy, and I am the head of the Legislative Task Force with Illinois Christian Home Educators. We are families, we are co-ops, we are groups across the state of Illinois. We want to educate our children according to our convictions, according to our consciences, and when it starts to interfere with what the government wants to do, what happens is this type of legislation.
HB 2827 was a terrible bill. It was so bad. They were intimidating parents from being able to lead their child's education. One of the legislators said, it's a pipeline to prison.
When you have a piece of legislation that basically criminalizes parents when they don't file a piece of paper, everyone needed to take one small step, whether they be student or educator or teacher, and just band together and fight this bill. It was really neat to see everything come together, and Americans for Prosperity was really key to being able to make that happen.
The grassroots army was there, but we just tried to position ourselves as sort of an intermediary connector, if you will, between really the diverse faces from across the state of Illinois of homeschooling, equip them with any resources they needed.
I think lawmakers were shocked at the response and also the tenacity of homeschoolers. They didn't just get one call, they got so many calls.
They had to do things like turn off their phones because so many people were calling.
We were relentless and never took our foot off the gas. This was a persistent effort for over 12 weeks.
We let these legislators know that, you cannot mess with our families.
Christy, you guys, as leader of Team PAC, were one of the organizations who helped really mobilize folks in our communities to show up at the Capitol, to make their voices heard to their legislators.
We thought going into this that hundreds of people would show up at the Capitol, but the amount of people that just turned out, it was incredible.
Over 8,000 parents and families showed up to the Capitol that day. They actually had to shut the doors to the Capitol at a certain point because we had exceeded the fire code maximum for the building. We broke Illinois state record for the highest number of witness slips ever filed on a single piece of legislation.
Everyone did their part. It really was a message too loud to ignore.
So a lot of us have been watching the end of session to see if HB 2827, the homeschool regulation bill, will be called. And I'm happy to tell you right now that the House is adjourned and that bill has not been called. It's been defeated. We've done it.
This victory illustrates the power of how much of an impact people can have, particularly when we're able to equip and mobilize them to take action.
It's just really important to get involved, to connect with groups like Americans for Prosperity, ICHE, Teen Pact.
Because of the collaboration that happened, we had so many people just stepping in and saying, no, we're going to fight this.
I'm just a homeschooling mom, and I didn't realize how much my voice could be helpful in this fight.
Just because change doesn't happen easily doesn't mean that it's not worth fighting for. One small step in the right direction, especially when you have a multitude of one small steps, does make a difference.
Use your voice, because you never know the impact that you have in your community.
All it took
was one
Small step.